Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time it is to you. Good moment. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Julie Ling, and from somewhere on this sweet, wild, sacred earth, and from the wild sweetness of my very own heart, this is the voice of wonder. Did it backwards. As I was noticing that no one had joined me on the Zoom this morning, and I thought, oh, I'll be alone, I felt the words, "You're never alone." And today I invite you into that possibility. What if you are never alone? What if there is always some energy, some form of guidance, whatever words work for you, the divine, a guide, an angel, whatever, a higher power called Fred, something. What if you are never alone? What if even just the spirit of the tree outside your window is with you? What if you are always joined, always held, and already loved? I like that thought. Let's just sit with that for a minute, noticing what or who energy, being, spirit might be with you right now. And even if there's nothing else that you can feel, your breath is always with you. The most precious thing in life. People say, oh, we can't live without water. We can live for a while without water, but we can't live for more than a few minutes without our breath. And it's always here for you, with a few exceptions when you couldn't quite catch it or find it. Otherwise, the breath is always here for you. There is always enough. It is always with you. And whether you let it or you don't, but more so when you bring your attention to it, breath brings into you what you need and releases what you do not. In symbolic forms, yes, and in the very simple, ordinary, concrete form of the oxygen that you need to be alive and the carbon dioxide that needs to be released from each cell so that you can continue to thrive. Those things are always here for you. Always. And in this moment, you can relax into that, knowing the breath is here for you. And if the breath is here for you, this most precious thing, what else is here for you? And here's another thought. I've spent so much of my life wanting desperately and doing whatever I could, often subtly, sometimes covertly without even realizing it, trying to get other people to be with me because I felt in a lot of ways not real unless there was someone with me witnessing me. Kind of like Mark Twain's story, The Stranger, which posits that we are all simply figments of the imagination of some other being. Terrified me when I read it in college. And what if you can witness yourself? What if you are your own witness? What if you are the one you've been waiting for years or your whole life? And maybe you haven't had that desperate feeling of wanting someone to see you and witness you, or maybe you have. It's kind of the human condition. And either way, what if you can be that one for yourself? I invite you to just sit with that possibility for a few minutes. Those are the seed pods from somewhere in the Amazon that you just heard clinking. something arises within you that feels hurt, that feels pain, that feels scared, what if there's a part of you already here? And if you can't feel it, notice it being brought in with the next breath that can meet that part and hold it and say, I'm so sorry, you're so scared. And let it go a little bit. I'm so sorry, you're in pain. I'm here with you. And the breath can ease that a little bit. I'm so sorry that you're hurt, that this hurtful thing happened. And the breath out can ease it a little bit. What if there's a part of you that is larger, broader, more expanded? What if there's a part inside that's already loving, that's already kind, that already sees with a kind eye, that can see that younger part, the afraid or scared or hurt or wounded part, and hold it? What if that capacity is already inside of you, and in every moment you look for it, in every moment you practice it, it becomes a little broader, a little more spacious, a little more alive, a little more present? What if? And what if it's not even something you have to do? What if it's something you simply offer your willingness to and allow? Oh, broader, more spacious part of me, the part of me brought in by the breath, the part of me held by there are a trio at least of cedars outside my window, and I always think of them as the aunties. I was at a retreat with Susan Weed, and she broke us up each into clans and had us, each group, choose a plant ally. And there were the Cedar Sisters, and we were each supposed to present our plant ally to the group. And this woman said, well, cedar is antifungal and antiviral and antibacterial. And I remember thinking, oh, cedar is the auntie. And whenever I see cedar trees, I think, oh, here are the aunties. Perhaps these aunties are within you, already present, already nurturing, already loving you. And as you bring your awareness to them and to that, it increases as you practice what you love. And even if that sounds like, ugh, oh, Julie, that's just a bunch of airy fairy stuff. Maybe, and maybe not. What if today you imagine that it's so, as a grand experiment to see how it feels and lands for you? What have you got to lose? I love the notion that our imagination is us intuiting the universe's desires for us. What if just for today, or just for an hour, or just for right now, imagine that's the case? What if any time you notice a child part, a scared part, a wounded part arise, you breathe in and offer your willingness for this part of you, whether you've ever met it or not, to come to you, to hold you, to be that larger part that holds you in its arms. What if? What if today's the day you open just a little more to receive your own love? It's so hard to receive from other people what we refuse to give ourselves. And often we refuse it because we've been taught that's being too big for your britches. That's being full of yourself. Well, the other day as I was getting ready to come and I thought, what do people think I'm too full of myself? And I had the thought, well, who else am I supposed to be full of? George? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And there's a line, and often the people who come across as, oh, he's so full of himself, she's so full of herself, it's covering up that scared part. It's not holding it. It's not loving it. It's covering up, oh, I'm so great. So you'll like me. So you'll be safe. What if you're so full of yourself that you overflow? And that selfness, that uniqueness that is you, in the words of the little prince, the part of you that is unique in all the world. And so we need you because there's no one else just like you. Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. They are. Who else could you be full of but you? And we need you in all your fullness, not in your half fullness or less that's needy, that's trying to siphon off from everybody else because you don't feel like you get to give it to yourself. But the you that's so full of you that you overflow like a fountain, that tube torus that goes out and around and comes back up underneath and fills you again. We need that. We want that. I want it. That's my desire, is for everybody on this sweet, wild, sacred earth to feel, to be so full of themselves, that juice, that divine breath, that yumminess, that we all overflow. And then there's enough for everybody. There's no grabbing or grasping because we've got it. We're letting ourselves have it. And then we can give freely and we can receive freely. That's a gift to yourself and everybody else because that neediness, that wanting but not feeling like you can actually ask or you have to demand. If I demand, they'll just give it to me. They won't argue. I won't be disappointed. So much as this protecting ourselves from disappointment wouldn't be there. We would give so freely. There would be no pushing. But you have to give to me. So what can I do so you won't notice really subtly to manipulate you into giving to me without even realizing you did it? And then I'll feel safe and you won't get mad at me. Those hands just drop away. And then there's no feeling of, oh, I have to give to you so you'll like me. I have to. Because, man, like Marshall Rosenberg said, anytime we give or receive out of duty and obligation, we all pay for that. I don't want you to have to pay for it. I don't want to have to pay for it. I want it to be free and easy. And I know somewhere deep inside me, it can be. And that's what I want for you and for me and for us all. This sense of fountaining where there's always enough. And we give it and it comes back. And we receive and it comes back. It goes both ways. And there's no struggling or getting. It's just how much can you receive right now? How much are you willing to receive as you watch your breath come and go and the women talk of Michelangelo? How much can you open to receive right now? And it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to go from here to here. A, a change, a shift of 1% can change the trajectory of a lifetime. What if today you let yourself shift a 1% just for kicks and grins, just for the joy of it, for the fun of it, as a grand experiment? What if? Two of my favorite words, and not the way most of us have heard them used. What if? No, what if? What if is wonder? What if is possibility, grand possibilities? And what if each what if you imagine is a little broader than the last one? How juicy would that be? Today, I invite you into the realm of the world of what if, the imaginary world, where you were imagining what the universe, what the divine, substitute whatever word works for you, your higher power, Fred, George, Mildred, that's desires for you. What if? What if today is a delicious day or 1% more delicious, and that 1% more deliciousness changes the trajectory of your entire life? And you know that when you shift, everything around you shifts. So this 1% could change the world. What if? Thank you so much for joining me from somewhere on the sweet, wild, sacred earth. I'm Julie Ling, and this has been and is and will be the voice of wonder. I hope you'll join me again whenever your heart calls you to. Have a beautiful and blessed day.